Hello, my beautiful friends. Okay, today we are going to talk about the sound of your voice and why it's important for you to sit in your moon sound and what it will do for you. Okay, so let's talk about why it's important to sit in your moon sound. So your moon is the essence, like on the natal chart, right? So we're talking about your natal chart. Your moon, where that is located, will help tell you what your sound, like what the sound of your voice will be, like energetically the sound, and physically what it will sound more like. Now, our voices are like blueprints or like fingerprints, sorry. They're like fingerprints. It is kind of like lays away a little bit of a blueprint, but it's like a fingerprint, right? So everybody's sound is different and you can recognize that. Sometimes my husband will be like, oh my gosh, you sounded a little bit like Bradley, my daughter. But when he listens a little bit closer or a little bit longer, then he can hear definitively that it's me speaking and not our daughter. So our sound is like our fingerprint, right? And so we're not going to sound like all Leos are not going to sound exactly like me, but we will have a commonality in the lightness of our voice and the fire that's behind it, right? And some of the like up and downs in our voice as well. So you have that. And so we are looking at our charts to see where our moon is to help us really identify and get clear on what the frequency of our voice really is and help connect to that a little bit better. When we sit in our sound, like our personal sound, our personal frequency for our voice, it makes it easier for the people around us to hear what we're saying and to really gather the concept of what we're saying. So here's what happens. We have words. Words matter. Words make a huge difference. And we've talked about this for a long time. Like I'm talking about we as in society. Society has talked about words for a really long time. Words matter. How you say, like what you say makes a difference. Watch your language. Like, don't say like there was this huge thing that went around for a long time. It's not weight loss because you don't want to find the weight again. You want to release the weight, right? So they talk a lot about that. And that is important. Our words are very important for the things that we say. What's even more important than our words is our sound. So I'm going to give this example. Like I say, I have $1 million. I'm a millionaire. I am a billionaire, right? And you could say that, and I could say that, and I don't know if you've experienced like saying affirmations before, and they haven't come true, like they haven't come very quickly, or they haven't come at all. Like I could say this every day, and it might take me a really long time. And part of the reason why that is because of the sound of my voice. And like there's a lot in there. So we could talk about the sound, like me sitting in my sound and then also aligning with the sound of like me being a billionaire, right? Or me being a millionaire, like those things. So there's a lot that goes into play with that. But our voice really creates the sound of our voice creates this megaphone effect for the words that we are saying, or it creates this diminishing effect for the words that we are saying. And so really helps either really get the sound out there and create the impact for our meaning, or it kind of like holds the sound back. So when we are sitting in our personal vibration, or the sound of our authentic voice, it creates this megaphone effect. Not as in like a shouting at people, but just like it amplifies our words to the point where it's easier for people to understand and to connect with our message. And I am not just talking about for business owners or influencers or anything like that, although this will make a huge difference for those that are influencers, for those that are business owners and they're really wanting to get their voice out there. People want to hear you. People people want to hear your message. And when you're sitting in your sound, it's literally easier for them to listen to you because your sound will be more pleasing to their ear. However, this is not just for business owners. This is not just for influencers. This is also for our one-on-one and our personal relationships as well. So I want to share an example. We understand subconsciously, like a lot of times it's not conscious, right? Because the voice and like listening to people, it's super not conscious. I think a lot of people could pick up, like as soon as I start sharing tidbits of like what I'm hearing and what I'm doing, then people are like, oh, and I can hear this in your voice, or I can hear this in so-and-so's voice. So this is something that like really everybody can do. Everybody can hear these things, right? It's just a gift and a talent that I've super honed over the last decade. But when we are listening to someone speak to us and they are speaking to us in this place of importance, like what they're saying is important, right? But they're not sitting in their sound, it creates a little bit of a disconnect between our words and the amplification of the message. So I know I've talked to people before where they are not sitting in their sound and they really struggle in the relationship. Like I'm talking specifically about the communicative relationship with their children or the communicative relationship with their spouse. And it's because they're not sitting in their sound. And so the things that they're saying feels very out of alignment with what they're saying. It's really interesting. The more I have seen and experienced this with people, and as they step into the sound of their voice, what happens is because it's our moon sign, and our moon is also so much our feelings and the ways that we are nurtured and like this deep part of us, right? That when we connect to our moon sound, the words naturally flow. And the words that we are actually meaning to use flow so much better. So this is what happens, right? We sit in our moon sound and our marketing comes out. We sit in our moon sound and the expression of what we are wanting to say to our loved ones and the way that we are wanting to say it comes out. If you're in Pisces and you have this very light, forgiving voice and you're speaking with this intense Scorpio, or really I think Virgo can also be a little bit more intense, sometimes like really mental. Like if you're coming at people from this space, it's going to be harder for them to connect with you. Now, are there a lot of other things that go into play with this? Yes, absolutely. There's a ton of things that go into play with this, including your wounding and their wounding and all of those things. But when we are sitting in our sound, like the sound of our voice, our true sound, that sound kind of helps slice through all of those other things. It helps slice through those barriers to help us really get to where we're wanting to go. This is like a great example. So I'm going to share this example. And it like super is sharing like I'm not a perfect mother, right? So Leo moon, very expressive, very and I can be, I don't know another word to say, excited. Like when I'm mad, I get very excited about it and it gets like really big. Like it's definitely a fire sign for my sound, definitely a fire sign. And so I was feeling that, like really feeling that intensity, and I was sharing that intensity in a not helpful way with my daughter, who is 13. And she just stood there. And she just stood there until I had said all of the things that I wanted to say. And then she stood and she said to me in her very Sagittarius moon sound way, "Mom, I'm just trying to talk to you." And it was just like, I just started bawling. What happened was that she just sliced through, because this is her Sagittarius, right? She sliced through from her head right to my heart and like, boom, and got me right here. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I've seen my Sagittarius moon sun do the same thing, you know, because this is not like a one and done kind of thing for me. I've had this happen before. I'm learning, but like, right, because we like irritation and parenting is kind of goes hand in hand sometimes. But he has done the same thing for me as well. Just like really come into that space and just been like zinc, and it slices through everything that I've got going on and really gets to that heart space and pulls me back down to this like, oh my gosh. And the same thing will happen like if I'm talking to my husband and he's Taurus, which is like this really grounded place. And if I'm feeling at all unstable and I go have a conversation with him, he helps even that flow out for me. Not necessarily with what he's saying, although the things that he's saying is helpful, but it's just the sound of his voice that creates this foundation for me to be able to stand in. So our voices impact the people around us. It also makes it easier for us to share the messages that we have to share, whether that's with a big audience or whether that's with our loved ones, like our spouses. I did want to say this just like really quick, because I think it's important to look at, and it's important to mention. I have come across, I've come across people who are not sitting in their moon sign, and they are doing well in their business. And so it is possible. It is absolutely 100% possible to be successful and to not sit in your sound. However, when we do sit in our sound, like our moon sound with our voice, we are more in harmony and there's more ease and flow with our communication than there is when we are not sitting in our moon sign. So I hope this video has been helpful. Let me know below what stood out to you the most as you listen to that. And of course, like and subscribe for more videos about your sound. Okay, I love you. Bye.